So today we are going to start how to connect database and how to load the data into the tables. So till now we have practiced with files related data loading to the different files or reading from different files, and we understand how to transform data, how to apply some transformations, and how to join between the two files or two inputs using tmap or tjoin. These are all things we learned. So till now I hope you guys able to follow how etl is going to work and how talent is going to use different file components and transformations and all. So same way, when you go to the project, there is a chance of like files you may not see. Some customers, they don't have a file system in a legacy application or a current application. They're doing integration or migration. It depends. So all customers will not have a files and db everything. So they may have different databases, they may have only file systems, they may have uh, different service application in nowadays, right? Last 4 5 years they'll have a integration between the different application. That's going to be a it's going to be a service calls and all. Or if it is a older than that, if it is a 10 years 20 years, it's a they have a different like source from files. Even though still some applications which we are going to receive some documents in a file, so that data we want to migrate or load into the target system. It's a db or existing some application, whatever it is. So files and database we are going to see, and apart from that you will see different crm erps. So like what not. So integration means you are data integration you are learning. So you are going to integrate data between two kind of technologies, or you can say it is simply two applications. Or you, if you are going to migrate, means it's a initial day itself I told. So two kinds of projects you are going to see when you are working with a bi tool or etl tool. One is a migration or integration. So integration is going to be the application is going to talk each other. So data will be in a bidirectional, or maybe some things are going to be a bidirectional, some things are be a forward direction, some things are going to be backward direction. So target application to source application till they sunset source application. So now we have deal with the file system till now. Now we are going to start understanding the database. So db, how to connect table, how to read from tables, what kind of things we are going to take care in a talent db components. So I'm going to create a exercise to we'll start again same our t row generator. So whatever we have a data, I want to load from t row generator to table. It open. Okay, so it is open. So where is our so I don't want to repeat the t row generator, whatever we just configured, just to understand how you are going to load that t row generated data into the table. So we are going to work on I have installed a MySQL in my mission. So I'm going to check the MySQL, how we are going to load the data into the MySQL. So this is the component we use the first exercise. So there you can see a few things like ID, reference, and name. So whatever we have. So just to understand how we are going to configure the DB setup. So this has, yeah, this has 4 fields. So we are okay with it. So we'll go and now, so now you are familiar with So we have a input is a t row generator is a input which is going to have a few fields which is id and reference, current date, city. So just these things we have randomly created, or like it is a inbuilt functions we have used. Everyone, you remember how to create a sequence from Talend. Numeric dot is a numeric is a class, and you will have a sequence method, and you have to pass the start value and step value, however you want to increase the sequence, and same string. So there is a random string getting, so we have used a Talend string. Talend string, we have a class, from there we have used a method to get the data. Same way current date, we have a Talend date function, or a Talend date. So it was changed. Where is a Talend date? So Talend date, we used a current date, and city, we have customized the cities with cities we have customized. You can write n number of cities here. You can put in the double quotes. So this how row generator, we have generated data, and we can see the preview. These things we have already seen earlier. So if you're not, I'm just briefly explaining what we are doing, T row generator and all. Okay, so preview will show you how data is going to be look like. So this is how we are going to get the data. So this is a dummy data. It's a like a mock-up data or something, whatever you can call. This is not a useful data anywhere. And however, we are not going to see really where we are going to use this data. This is just to practice. We have using T row generator. So T row generator always we use for to generate the some mock-up data or a dummy data which can practice yourself in a flow. You want to get some data, right? Without data you cannot create any flows, or you cannot perform anything. So you can add a number of columns, and you can add whatever kind of data you want to see on that column. You can add, and type you have to select. Based on type you will get the related functions and all. So if the based on string, you will get all string related function. If the data type is integer, then it is integer type, whatever functions, whatever things you are expecting to populate on that, you can select it. Same way you can select any type of data, and you can give the field name, and you can select the appropriate method to get that data. So this is how you can prepare. If you don't have a data, don't wait for to practice. Just create your dummy data, whatever you want to populate. And now you are familiar with the transformation. So till now, before a week, you are just reading data and writing data. So reading data means we understand that it is an input component. Writing data means output component. Now reading, extracting and writing data to the output is called load. So extract, load we understand, and after that we started understanding transform is transformation. So extract, transform, load concept. Under that, what is our flow? Always we have to use the input is our t row generator. So row generator is going to generate some data, and I want to do some transformation. Now I am going to do, or not going to do, doesn't matter. So always you have to use the transform. So transform related component which can help you to in future also you want to apply some logics, you can easily apply. So if you are not using, you cannot use that component. There is no kind of restriction. You have to use this component, you have to not to use component like that. So always is a the way of flow or a design your component should be in a best way, so that and anyone can open your job, and they can read that, and they want to append any logic for your whatever job you created. So if you put the transformation, like a T map is a component which can help you to transform. You want to do any transformation, you can use the T map. So just if you are not doing anything also fine, just keep the T map between the input and output. That makes sense. It is a flow which is having some input data and we are doing trying to do some transformations, and we are trying to load onto the output component. So output is like you want to store into the file or a db. So you can you if you are if your target system is database, then you are going to select the db components. And if you are writing data, always you are writing data means it's going to be output, t output. So you have to select, if you don't know the component, like you want to write the data, basic, you have to remember output components for writing. If you want to read is a input components. And you are familiar with which database, which product you are trying to use in your target system. So if you are using mysql, you can type mysql, you'll get all the list of the components which are available in a talent. So now I want to write the data onto the table. So I'm going to select the output, T MySQL output. So T MySQL output. So you can select that, and you can go here. There you can see the options. So what are the things we have to fill to establish a connection? So earlier, if you are using a file system, you have to pass the path, and you have to give the delimiter. If it's a delimiter, if it is a Excel, you have to pass the sheet name. So the required things you are checking in a basic setting. Same way you are connecting to the database. So what are the things needs? You can see that filling the, like it's kind of blank double quotes. You can see the filling the blanks. You have to fill these all details. Without filling, it cannot go, right. It cannot go and load anything. So where to load, how to load these things, you have to establish that kind of information in your component. So file means you will give the file path, or what is the location of file. If it is in a NAS location, it is in a different location, you have to authenticate. Same way, if you are connecting to the any product, it's going to be a basic authentication will be there, username, password. Apart from that, nowadays they'll have a two-factor authentication. They'll have like keys, certificates, whatever, more security purpose. They are giving a number of things. But coming to database, we can see that only basic authentication. That means username, password. So what database server you are going to host means it's a server. So database is not going to be installed in your local, right. It's not a developers tool or something which can be installed in every developer. It will be installed somewhere. They are going to allow you to connect the database. They'll open the port for you. So the original server, it is going to be installed in a common server, and all the developers going to connect. But in our case, we are practicing, and it is we don't have any like kind of remote like a remote connectivity or anything. So our mission is going to have a default local host is our server. So local host means it is within this mission only. So somebody wants to connect my mission, so I have to change my ip, and I have to allow them to connect to my server. My server, in the sense, my mission has that MySQL server, and with related tools or whatever, I have installed everything. So I have to allow them, I have to change my IoT IP to global, and I have to ask them to use that IP. Right now, I have installed in my mission, so it will be always going to be a local host. So, or you can use the 127 dot. So this is a default for local IP. So you don't remember, then you can use the simply local host. So try to install any database. So I am going to discuss on MySQL. So you can just install Oracle. If you are familiar with Oracle, you can use the Oracle. Or you are okay with MySQL, just install the MySQL. So and then you can try to, whenever you are creating account, right, there will be an option to connect from like a remote connectivity. So connecting from Talend to MySQL, that while installing itself, you will see the options. Carefully check that box and install it. Otherwise, you cannot establish a connection from other tools even within your mission also. Okay, so now my host is local. So I have installed MySQL in my mission. So it's going to be always a local host, or it will be a, if you want to look like a IP, then you can use the 127.0.0.1. That is a IP for local host. It's the default. And and port number. So when you are installing the, it will show you the default port. If it is rkl 4952, like 1452, and if it is a mysql 3306, whatever. So it depends on database. Default port number will be there. If any port number is already running in your machine, it will not allow you to give the same. But mysql, if you are trying to install, the default port number will be 3306, so we no need to change it. And coming to database, so is there any specific database for our practice or for our we are connecting? For in general, if you are going to work on real-time project, they'll have existing they'll have existing databases. If your source systems are database, or if you are going to create a data into the target system, I already told you, when you are going to start ETL, the data model will be ready. So data model, in the sense, it's going to be a the schemas or whatever tables, what is the relationship between different tables, everything will be performed before you are going to start your ETL. They cannot allow you to create whatever table, whatever field names you want to do that, they won't allow you. So they'll have a proper architecture of your data model or application. So data model, without data model, there is no ETL, there is no application design, so nothing will happen. So data model is a base for any process we are going to start for any application. So we are going to, but for a practice purpose, we are creating whatever table we want, we are dropping whatever table we want. So we are just trying to learning. So you can do that, but in real time, you are not going to create any tables from your tool. Okay, it's again very rare cases there may be chance of few tables, like a staging tables or something you can able to create. But target system always, they'll make it ready for you, what is the schema they're expecting, and from source what are the fields you have to read and load into that target table. So that process will be like that. If they are asking you to create all the tables, so carefully you have to design your tables. So I never seen some people, nobody without tables creation in target system. The application, they'll not ask you to load any data and all. So temporary tables or staging tables, we can create a number of. They'll allow you to create, even they'll give you permissions to create and whatever you want to drop or something. In general, target schema, they won't give all the permissions to do operations like a drop, delete, or even they'll not give you delete also. So through your account, you are not going to perform any kind of manipulations on data. Okay, just manipulations are the definition you cannot change on the database side. Only you can use the account which is like a common. So now you are going to see, in my mission, I am the owner, I am the user, everything. So I'm just going to create a my account, or I'll have a two accounts in my. So when I'm creating an account, I have created myself one account, and a default account is a root. So root is a default account. Same way, if you are using Oracle, they'll have a some default account for that also. So it's going to be a Oracle and password is Oracle something, or it's going to be Scott and Tiger. So whatever the default user account will be there, or you want to create a specific account for your ETL process, and you will have a that the user, what are the operations, what are the he is going to perform going forward on ETL. So based on that, they're going to give the permissions and all. So now I am going to give the database. So what is the database I am going to use? So I am going to create a new database for our training section. So I'm going to create a new database. Create database. So create database name. So this is the So I'm created one database, one schema. So for my practice and whatever I'm going to create tables, I'm going to create under this schema. So now you see, right, tables, views, store procedures, functions. So whatever you want to create, you can create under a specific database. So I have created a one database. Now what is the database name? So this is the database name I am going to use further all the exercises. So I'm going to use this. Okay. And username, password. So when I am installing, I have given two users. I'm using a common user. So my username is root and password is a root and table name. So table name, right? So right now in this database, I don't have any table name and I don't have any requirement right now. So I can give any data, any table name, right? So there is no specific requirement or specific table is created by someone to load the data. So I want to load the data simply whatever row generator is generating data. I want to load it to the table. So I'm going to give table name as a row generator. So I'm given the table name as row generated data. And if you see the action on table, so you can see a number of things you are going to perform. So you want to drop the table and create every time, then you can use the drop and create the table. Or you want to create, if you want to create the table also from Talend, you can use the create table. Or you want to create table like if does not exist, so already table is there. And if table is not there, you want to create, then you can use the create table if does not exist. And already table is there, you want to drop it and create. Whenever you run the job, you can select the drop table if exist and create. And you want to clear, you want to delete the data, you can use the clear table. You want to truncate the data, you can use the truncate table. So right now what option is suitable for me, my scenario is I don't have a table in my in database. I want to create a table from Talend in a process. When I'm running the process, I want to create the table and the load the data. So I'm going to select the create table. And I want to perform action. What action I want to perform? I want to load. Load means insert. So in a database, it's going to be insert. You want to load the data means you are going to insert the data. So what are the actions you will have? You will have a all the DML like insert, update, delete, replace, insert or update. You can see the both options. So update or insert or update. Okay. So now the first what I'm doing, just a insert. I don't have any data on it. I don't have to update or I don't have to check if the data is there or not. Just I want to dump the data, insert the data. And what is the schema? So first whenever you see, right, any input, you will have a the edit schema will be in a first place, but coming to output, you will have a at the end. So you see the file output components also. I told you that blind symbol. So output always you will have a schema and at the end of your configuration. But input you will see the first configuration, because without input you cannot do anything, right? The schema without definition, what you are going to do. So that kind of psychological component design they have done in a Talend. Even namings are kind of component configuration and all. So we are done with the connection related establishment. So connections are going to be depends. So if the server is installed some other location, they'll give the IP or a host name or whatever. They can convert the number to the host name. And they'll share you the and what are the tables you are going to load. Okay. And username, password. So in a ETL process, right? So individual users, they'll have a access for you. But when you are going to design a job, when you are going to schedule a jobs, they'll not allow you to use your user IDs. They'll give a separate service account. That means the service account never going to be changed. See, you are not going to be the entire life, you are not going to work with them. So they'll not allow you to use your own ID. So own IDs they'll give for your analysis. If you can connect the database. Now I connected database, right? So I cannot use a service account because service account has a privileges, different privileges. But your own account, what they are going to, they'll give a read, dev, they may give read, delete, update, all the permissions to you. But coming to like a next level environment, UAT production, they'll not allow you to do all the operation. They just read only operation. Just you can read. Production mainly, they'll give you read only. In some people, some clients, they'll not allow you to even read also. You cannot connect to the production. So different environments we are going to see when you are going to be in real time. It's not a one environment, one load or one thing. Okay, we'll talk about that environments in next coming section. But now what you have to understand, always here it's not going to, if Sai is a developer, he's not going to give his own account. Like they'll give a Sai Krishna something and password something he can reset. So he cannot use Sai Krishna account to create this ETL flow. So ETL flow, I'll tell you, you have to use DA XYZ process. Like whatever my business is, right? I'll create an account and I'll ask him to use this. Even it is for all, like 10 people who are all here. So I'll give a one account only. So one account only I'll give, and I'll ask them to use that account for any ETL job, any operations you are performing through any ETL tool, not only Talend or anything. ETL tool you are loading or you are extracting or whatever you are doing, you have to use from the that service account. That is a common account. Service account in the sense common account. It's individual developer cannot configure. So for your practice, for your testing, you can do some kind of in your mission, like when your client VDA also. But a real job which is going to be deployed in a production, that code you should not use your own account. Okay, keep in your radar. So whenever you are designing a job, when you are joining, right, they'll give you your personal account and service account also. Service account only you have to use. You should not use your own account. So own account won't work for production, but lower lanes it may work. But make sure you are not using, because they'll share all the credentials with you, right, once you join the project. So they'll ask you to generate a job. Just ask them where is the service account, which service account, what is the password. You have to ask them, and then you can start configure. So then it's not the case you need to ask. Sometimes these things already in metadata. Now we are using a built-in, so I am just passing these details. In general, if it is already configured in your tool metadata, you no need to pass these all the details. Only you are going to pass the table name, and you are going to select the what action you are going to perform and what action on data you are going to perform. So now we are good with the schema database, and you have done with the table name, and you have provided all the connection and all. So now you can what you have to provide, you have to provide the schema, what schema you want to pass to the table. So table definition you are defining. Whenever you connect to the tmap to main, you will get that all the schema in the tmap side. So you have to drag and drop that schema, so that you will get into the database also, that the fields are going to be created. So now id, reference, current, date, city, these four fields I want to see on that table. So whenever you map that, automatically it is going to get the schema in edit schema. So you want to add one more few more columns. How you are going to do, you are going to add few more columns in right side, or you can use a tmap. Open the tmap and you can create whatever fields I want. So in general, right, ETL we are going to have extra fields. What is the extra fields? We are going to see audit fields. So audit fields are going to be added whenever you are creating a output. So any table you are going to see this audit tables, because we have to know, right, who loaded, when it is loaded, why it is loaded. These details you have to know. Otherwise so many developers are working, so we don't know. Even if you are using service account also, recently when it is loaded also, you can get from the updated by. And updated date we have to have. If your ETL users are loading, then they'll have that use ETL username. If the business is going to update some data, automatically the updated by reflected with their name. so that we'll know who edited that record, who updated that record. Is a business is edited or ETL process is updated this record. So that's why we have to have the audit fields to capture the history of the loads or any information on that table. So updated date, we have to use our regular, we want to updated date is whenever load is going to run, we want to get that current date. So what is the method we have in Talend? Talend date dot. So you can go to the Talend date and you can find the get date or get current date, current time and date. You can select the current, get current date. So you can select that. You can remove this and updated by. So you can use. So whenever a business is going to see in an application or a database, they're going to query, they can see that ETL has loaded this data. ETL team has updated this data. So this user updated by is a kind of username. So here you are going to get your username. You can use a root. So root is doing this data load, right? So you can use a root, or you can use just a ETL operations, or ETL team has done. If it is a DMU, it's a data migration. So whatever, you can give that updated by, so that everyone will understand this is loaded by this team or this user. Okay, so now we are good with all. So we have done we have taken an input, and we have like a transformation. We are not done any kind of transformation, but we want to add a audit fields. For that purpose we used a tmap. This is the case, right? So source, we are not going to see this kind of audit fields or anything in most of the cases. So you have to create, when you are loading the data, you have to keep these fields. So we without tmap, how you are going to add these fields? So without tmap, right? So if I remove this tmap, if I remove tmap, you are going to connect between trow generate to tdb output. So you cannot add, you cannot do any kind of the like a whatever updated date or updated by these fields. You cannot do that without having any mapper component between the input and output. That's where I keep telling you, whenever you create any sample job or any job in your process, if it is a straight load, if you are not adding any extra columns also, keep the tmap as your uh, key component in between input and output, so that in later point if you want to add something, so you no need to drag, and again you need to connection changes and all, nothing. You can just open the tmap, and whatever they're asking on the field transformation or whatever, you can simply apply. This is not going to harm if you have an extra component, right? But some people, I see why I keep telling that point, right? Some people thinks, why we need to use this component, we are not doing any transformation. So that is not the point here. Later, if you want to add something, you should not go scratch. So you just make sure, however you are the requirement, but you have to make sure your design is going to be common, so that somebody will not impact with your whatever your development. So if you do in a good development, the other team member can easily can change anything. Even business will feel that hours estimation. So if I don't have a tmap component, so I have to do some changes, I have to add a tmap that is going to take time. If already when you are doing some then design flow and all, there itself you have that one, it's going to be easy for you also in later point whenever they want anything. If they are not going to ask any changes also, fine. So it's not going to harm your flow, or it's not going to give any benefit without adding this component. Okay, without adding this component. So make sure you are always in a real time when you are going to the project, your input and output between, you have to have transformation tmap. Okay, because Talend has a tmap. Other transformation component we discussed about it, but that is a very rare case. Again, it's you are want to do specific requirement inner join, there you are going to use. Otherwise tmap is a one component. If you are reading loading data between two systems, you have to use a tmap is a between component, so that it will be useful for you. Okay, now I'm going to run this. Now you can understand now ETL. So E is extract is reading the data from rerow generator, and we are performing some like a transformation. We are added extra columns is also a simple transformation. So source is not having those fields, and target we are adding those fields. That is also, I can say, it is a simple transformation we are doing. So the behavior of the source and behavior of the target we have defined in a additional two columns. So additional two columns are added in a target system. That is also a transformation. So whatever we have existing system, we have added two columns extra to the target. So that is also behavior of the table we have changed, and we have maintaining the definition in a different from source, and we are keeping audit fields in a target system. So that is a transformation, right? It's not whatever we have in a source, we are what as it is, we are not doing same in a table structure in target. We added a few more columns additional. So that's where we are going to use a transformation concept, and loading is a final output, writing data onto the table here. So now I want to run this job. Let it run. Getting error. Cannot convert a string to date. So this is the one, right? So we have to make sure what type of data. So we have used a method called current date. So what is the return type for that? Date. So we have to select the date as a data type for the updated date. Can see any table, so it won't create. So it is created a table, but it is not able to load the data because we are not defined a length of each and every field. It is not a file, so automatically it will take whatever length it is having, right? When you are, that is what table structure is going to be defined before you are designing a job. So now we haven't provided the length, how much space we are allocating that field. So relational database, any table structure, right? Length is also key element. If you are not providing a length, it will not take automatically. So if it is a NoSQL or a file system or something, it will allow you to without length. It will take automatically based on your data length. But like strictly this relational database, we have to pass the how much space you want to allocate to the each and every field. So you have to mention that. Otherwise, it will not able to generate the data. It will not able to load the data. So now I define. So now table is already created, but I want to, I have changed the structure of the table. So what option I have to use? Table already exists. So what I have to do? I have to select the drop table if exist and create again. So that will help me to drop the existing table because name is the same. So it will throw error again, the same issue. It's a table already exists. So I want to redefine that length and all for the table. So I have to select the drop table if exist and create a create freshly. So I'm going to select that. Now what will happen? It will drop the existing table and it will create the table with the all the lengths we defined. So there is no error. So we can see data loaded. See how we have loaded the data. So this is a this is how you are going to connect the database, and now you see that updated by all the records. So it's going to be a date. So it's a fraction of like seconds it's completed the job. So you don't see the updated date difference. Same date, same minute, same seconds the data loaded in general real time. So you will have loaded this one, right? After a few minutes, if you load, if I am going to, I don't have any key column on this. So I'll load again. The minutes or seconds are going to change, right? So whatever time you are going to load the data, it will I want to add a few more inserts, but we have selected already drop and create, right? So that the table is again whatever is there loaded before run, that is dropped and now recreated. So I want to use now. I just want to keep it default. I don't want to do any table definition changes or table creations. I want to keep the table however it is there. So I want to use the same. So just you can use the default. So it won't touch any action. So any action on table means it will not do any changes on table definition, data definition language, DDL, create statement. So create statement or create related any operation we are not performing when you select the default. So default option when you are going to select, if you are not going to change any structure of the table, then you have to keep the default as an option. Or you are going to create a from Talend the table, then you have to create table. Or if already table is created, you want to drop and create every time, then you have to use the drop if exist and create option. Or you just want to clear and load, we'll see that one. Now I want to insert again data. I want to see that updated date is a system date is getting inserting for every time or not. So now I can see 10 rows are inserted and you can see the 5727. So now I'm rerunning. I have selected default. So there is no like a changes on table side. Just I'm going to run. It will insert 10 more rows into the same table. So our table is going to have 20 rows after this run. So now you can see the 20 rows and you can see the times seconds difference. So seconds are different. Two minutes after 2 minutes we have loaded. So you can see the 5908. So that is how you are going to use the audit fields and you can load the data, and you have used a output component to load. So now I want to read this data and I want to write onto the file. So how are you going to do that? Using the input. So T MySQL input component. So again, what I have to do, I have to configure all the connection details. So whatever I have, localhost. And what is our database? Copy, copy. So now we have to write a select statement. We have to give the schema, right? So while reading, you have to pass the schema. So how are you going to get the schema? The first way is you can get from the existing component. You can copy paste the schema. So this is our table structure. You can copy and paste here. And what is the table name? So you can select you can get the table name here. Table name, if you can pass here, you can see the table name. So what it is expecting, table name, from which table you want to read the data, and you have passed the edit schema. Now you can click on the guess query. So you can use a select star from also, or select star from table name. So this is what we have selected in our SQL, right? So we have selected select star from table name. So you can just copy paste this query. So select statement, and you can paste here. Already schema, already you have provided the schema in the component configuration, so you no need to pass the schema here again. So it will automatically read from that schema. So you are already saying connect to this database and read from this table. So this is going to be a select star from. Okay, so now you are going to get all the fields whatever is there in the table, and you want to print on the log row for now. So to printing log row, we need a tmap? No, but still I'm going to use it, because next process I'm going to do that file. So I want to write this data onto the file, output file. So that time I need a tmap. So I'm going to use the tmap if I'm printing the log row also. So now what is the dependency between? So table is already exist. So I want to read, the load is completed to the table. I want to read the data. So these two sub jobs, this is a one flow and this is a one flow. But dependency is whatever writing onto the table, same table I am trying to read it. So what is the dependency? You have to create a job sub job. Okay. So job, first job is completed. Then I want to run this job. So what is the warning? So you have to map the fields. So it is asking data type is not correct. So you have to select the appropriate data. It's a warning. It's not going to throw any error, but definitely we have to give the proper data types. So you can select, you can see here, right? So file, you don't see any extra data types. Whatever data types you will have in Talend, that is the Java data types you will have. But coming to databases, you will see the data type, database type. So database type and Java database types are going, data types are going to be little differ. So when you are connecting the database, the equivalent data type you have to select when you are performing a data read or data load into the any technology, any product. So what is the, where is the integer? So this is a simple int. I can select an int, and a string is going to equivalent data type is varchar. So you can find the varchar here. Again varchar, again varchar. So if you are not giving for reading, it will not throw any error, but it will show you the warning. You are seeing that warning, right? So date, I want to use a timestamp. So timestamp, and if you want a timestamp change, so what timestamp it is giving? So this is what we have in our database. You can see that like YYY hyphen MM hyphen DD, and hours, minutes, seconds. Same thing you have to select from your pattern also. So date pattern, what pattern you have in a source table. So source means that is the table for our source for next flow. So second flow which we are creating, that flow is going to read from this table. So however the table is loaded, the pattern of date or data type, whatever is defined or loaded data, based on that you have to read, edit your input schema also. So this is the pattern I'm going to select for reading. and string again, it's going to be a varchar. So I'm going to select the varchar. And again, here you are not getting the lengths. So reading, if you are not giving also fine. Even data types also I told you, right? But it will show you warning. So now the warning will go. So I'm going to run this job. So now you are seeing how much difficult, like it's not difficult, how much gaps between our like how much work we are doing. So this is a built-in work. So built-in you are doing, you have to take care of all these things. When you go metadata and you will create a table, or you can read from table from metadata, you can avoid all these kind of manual changes and all. That is the difference between built-in and repository. Okay, so now we are doing a first time database connectivity. That's where I'm telling the built-in option. So I'm editing every time host details and schema details and all. But next time onwards, we are going to generate a metadata. So it is a reusable. So connection is going to be a reusable, and schema and retrieving the tables, everything is going to be a metadata, so that we no need to enter manually the data types or kind of lengths or anything. So whatever we have done now, that is going to be avoided when you are reading from the metadata. It is a repository. So built-in means you have to do manually, and you can manipulate whatever you want in a reading time or writing time. Okay. So again, 10 rows is loaded. So total 30 rows we are going to see in the log row. Okay, now you see, right, counts. So 10 is already 20 records are there. With this run again, 20 rows, 10 rows are generated and loaded into the table. So the 30 rows we are trying to read, and we are trying to print on the log row. So 30 rows we can see, and we can read the 30 rows. You can see we didn't have a log. So table, I'm going to select table so that we can see very clearly. I'm going to rerun. So now you can see, right, table structure, all the 40 rows has returned, printed on the log row. So this is how you are going to load the data into tables. So they'll have a set of tables, and they'll have a relationships between the tables. So when you are designing, you have to check the lookup table, and you have to join with the key columns, and then you have to load the tables. So now I'm going to create a metadata connection for this with so I have used it 2 times here, right? So and I have edited the schema, I have copied the schema. To avoid these things, we have to establish a metadata connection. So here you can see that DB connections. So here you can find all the database related connections you can establish. So you can find here all the database, whatever Talend is supporting, all the connectivity products, all the relational database or NoSQL, whatever. You can find all the database. Now we are using MySQL. You can click on M so that it will list the MySQL. So you can find the MySQL, and what is our username, root, and what is our password is a root, and server is a local host. And currently we are using a database, this one. So you can pass the same. This is a establishing a metadata connection for that MySQL database. So you are selected which database you are using, select that database, and you have to provide the credentials, host name and port number, database. What are all the like you have when you are installing, what are all you are going to give username, password, server name, or these details you can pass here, and you can see there is a test connection. You can test the connection. So whatever credentials, whatever username, password you have provided, all the things you can check. It is able to establish the connection from Talend to the MySQL or Talend to the Oracle. So whatever whatever product you are going to connect, you can select that database, and you can try to pass the details whatever you have. host name, server details, database name. If you are not passing, also fine. You can pass it in the job. But in a like in a way, we are using the same database for all the things. You can pass the database name also. Otherwise, you can pass within the job. That we'll see. But right now, we are established a connection in metadata. So the connection is established. So you have already tested the connection also. Now I'm going to click on finish. So it will be there uh, forever. So till I delete, it will be there. So now you can see what are all the things you can get. You can see the table schemas, view schemas. If you have any synonyms or queries, you want to create any template. So now I want to get the tables, all the tables, whatever tables we have in a that TRN 202215, whatever schema we have, they have provided. What are all the tables in that schema I want to get into my studio. So here you can see the option retrieve schemas. So retrieve schema means from that database, it is going to retrieve all the tables. So you can click on this. You can see that here icon, right? So tables, it is simply, it is saying it is going to extract the tables and it will show in your studio. So retrieve schema is going to retrieve all the tables, views. You can select whatever. So in that database, what are all you are having in the existing source are a target. So what tables they have, what views they have, or what synonyms they have created, you can get extract all the things and you can see in the your studio. So you can able to see all the details in your studio. So now this is the only table we have in that schema. So you can select that, you can click on select all, or you can select none. These options you can play. So just if you have a n number of tables, or you want to read only specific tables, you can go and check on these boxes. Or you want to get all the tables, then you can select all, so that all the tables will be selected. And still you want to check the connection, you can check the connection. And you can select none, you can click on select none. So it will deselect whatever you have selected. And you want to select specific tables, you can use the checkbox. Or you want to select you want to get all the tables into your studio, select all. So that will help you to get all the tables. Okay, now you can go and finish, and you can see the definition of that particular table. If you have a n number of tables, you can see that whatever table you are going to select, that related schema, it will display here. Okay, now you want to comment anything, you can comment on this, or otherwise you can just finish. Now you can see that table is here. So you can find what columns are there in that table also, you can see. Okay, I'm going to stop here. We are going to start using this metadata tomorrow, and we'll continue further exercises. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask.